Do you struggle to remember and understand all the Helm commands? And you just want to see what charts you have installed, or install a few more? In this video, we're going to go through the open source project Helm Dashboard by Komodor, which is also giving you the chance to win swag. Keep watching to learn more. Helm Dashboard is a UI that sits on top of the Helm CLI, so you can visualize what you have installed and also do so much more. For example, see all installed charts and their revision history. See manifest diffs of past revisions with simple rollback or upgrading of versions that have a clear and easy manifest diff. This is great for people who are experienced and want the visual benefit, but also for those who are newer to the Kubernetes ecosystem and can use all of the power from Helm via the dashboard. Before we get started, what is Helm? Well, they describe it as the package manager for Kubernetes. So for those of you in the JavaScript world, it is the equivalent of NPM, but for Kubernetes. There are thousands of Helm charts that you can install and configure, but now managing them is even easier with Helm Dashboard by Komodor. It is easy to install Helm Dashboard with one command, Helm plugin install and the repo URL. Or if you prefer, you can install it directly on your Kubernetes cluster using Helm. Then next, you can run Helm Dashboard to start the project. They have these commands and steps in their GitHub README. And while you're there, don't forget to support them by giving their repo a star. Any question, you can always ask the Helm Dashboard team in their Slack channel, link in description below. One thing to note is that Dashboard doesn't store any information. One of my favorite features is that all the information comes from Helm itself and no data is stored in the dashboard project, making this more secure. Now I've got the Helm dashboard behind me. You can see down the left, we have clusters available. And if you have more than one, you can select the one you want from the list. Then you'll see below that, the different namespaces for that cluster. This is great to filter out the charts based on the namespace, especially when the list gets long. But even then, you can search by a specific keyword in the top right in the current list. For example, here I could search by Redis and you can see it filters the list. Let's add some more charts and see the list grow. On the repository page, let's install some charts. Why don't we install Redis? Everyone loves a good caching key value store. So I've reduced the list to have Redis in it, and let's click install. You will see you can change the release name, namespace, and user-defined values. Then below this section are the manifest changes. I will cover customizing the Helm chart later on in this video. For now, let's keep everything vanilla. Let's press confirm and install Redis. When the chart finishes installing, it will show the Redis details page, where you can see the resources and their status. We can even click describe to get more information about the resource. Keep watching to see how I change the amount of replicas later on. You can check for new versions and also reconfigure or uninstall the chart at the top right. One thing that is super awesome is that if you click reconfigure, any changes you make will be shown before it is applied. I love this because we can double check we're happy with the changes before they're made. Next, let's do another example. Let's install Elastic by heading back to the repositories page and searching for Elastic. Before we click the install, I want to show you how to do the upgrade. Let's pretend we installed Elastic a while ago with an older version. So at the top here, I'm going to pick a previous version. Let's pick the latest 18 version. It's 18.2.16. As I told you earlier in the video, I also want to show you can customize the chart. So let's change the name override. And on the right-hand side, you can actually see we have the possible options of things we can configure. So here we can see we've got name override and it's a string. So paste it into the right, I can customize it. But before I do that, let me make a mistake. If I change it to 123, as the manifest is calculating the diff, you can see the error it gives us. It's saying it's expecting a string, but it got a float. So we can check any errors before we make any changes. So I want to put that back to being actually a string, and let's call it Project X. As you can see below, you can see now it's added the name Project X. Now there are no errors, we can click confirm and install the chart. Now that the chart is installed, we're redirected back to the chart details page of Elasticsearch. You can see at the top right of the page, Helm Dashboard is suggesting that we upgrade to the latest version. This is such a great feature because we can at a glance immediately see if there's a newer version available. By clicking upgrade, we can show a diff of the proposed changes even before we do the upgrade. So let's upgrade. Then we're back to the chart details page again and its resources. The next tab I want to tell you about is the manifest. This shows the current chart configuration, as well as allowing us a diff between the previous versions or a specific version. The next tab along shows you the values of the chart. Again, we can do the same types of diffs, but we can also select user-defined only. So if I select user-defined only, we can see that I only changed name override to project X. This is a great way to see what we have changed personally ourselves. There is also a notes tab, which is really helpful. It gives us information on the chart itself. Another feature I would like to highlight is the revisions navigation down the left-hand side of the dashboard. This means at a glance we can see the history and age of each installation. Now that we have a history of multiple versions, you'll see an extra button appear at the top right, which is rollback, which gives us a convenient way to roll back the previous versions of the chart. Why is this important? Well, if something isn't quite right with the newer version, we can easily roll back with a click of a button. I know what you're thinking. What about adding repositories that contain Helm charts? Well, you can from the repositories page. Let's add a chart repository. I'll give it the same name as the domain. And I hit add. Now you can see down the left, we went from 3 to 4 repositories, and it's already by default filtered by the new repository we selected. And we can see on the right, all their charts available in that repository. Let's install a chart called Who Am I? Let me show you how easy it is to reconfigure the installation by changing the replica count. So on the right hand side again, we can see the possible values we can use, and here we've got replica count of 1. So I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to change it to 4. So let's hit confirm, and we can see it's changing from 1 to 4. Actually, before I actually do that, let me show you what it currently says at the moment. So at the moment, if we describe that, we can see it says 1. So let's go back to the reconfigure, paste in the changes we had just typed. We can see the changes underneath, and I'm happy with those changes. Let's hit confirm. And now let's go to describe and have a look what it says, and it says it's at 4. I know you're all excited to hear more about the swag giveaway. Komodor are really keen for you to give them feedback on their open source project Helm Dashboard, and would love to give 3 of you swag for your efforts. To enter the swag giveaway, this is what you need to do. You need to star their GitHub project, and you also need to join their Slack and give them feedback on their project. Link to the repo and Slack are in the description below. Then the Komodor team will select 3 winners. If you're using Kubernetes, you're probably using Helm. Why not visualize all of this with the open source project Helm Dashboard? The dashboard will make your life easier by showing you the state of all your charts, as well as being able to manage them directly from the dashboard. Check out their project on GitHub, link in the description below.